The laughter echoed through the crowded fast food restaurant as the group of college students surrounded the woman in the wheelchair. They thought she was an easy target, someone they could mock and humiliate. The beautiful blonde in the custom racing wheelchair just sat there quietly, her military bearing invisible to their cruel eyes. They saw weakness. They saw vulnerability. At 3:15 p.m., the automatic doors slid open and 5 college students swaggered through the entrance. The leader was a tall, broad-shouldered kid named Tyler, barely 20, with the false confidence that comes from a trust fund. Beside him stood Marcus, the wannabe influencer, Jake, the athlete, Connor, the sidekick, and Brett, whose cruel laugh had been terrorizing people since middle school. They commandeered the center section. "This place smells like failure in minimum wage," Tyler announced. Marcus's phone was already recording. Brett noticed Madison. "Check out the wheels on that one," he said, pointing. Tyler saw Madison wasn't paying them any attention. "Hey, Blondie," he called out, "you deaf or just ignoring your betters?" Madison turned a page without looking up. In a booth near the back, Master Sergeant Rick Torres fought to control his temper. That wasn't just any wheelchair. That pin wasn't from the dollar store. He'd also caught a glimpse of the tattoo on her wrist, wings with a call sign. Madison closed her book gently. "Gentlemen," she said, "I think you should return to your table." Tyler flushed. Without warning, he grabbed the handles of her wheelchair and tilted it backward. "Let me tell you something, Army girl. This is my town, my restaurant, and my rules." The restaurant gasped. Madison's voice remained calm. "Sir, I'm going to ask you once to release my chair." "You going to roll over my feet?" He shoved the chair backward into the window with a crash. Her drink toppled. A small magnetic case broke open as it hit the floor, spilling its contents. Military ribbons and medals scattered like confetti. Air medals, its distinguished flying crosses. Purple hearts. And among them, a folded American flag, signed by generals, members of Congress, the Secretary of the Air Force. A small placard read, "Captain Madison Parker, F-16 Fighting Falcon, 56 Fighter Wing, call sign Phoenix, 47 combat missions, shot down behind enemy lines, Afghanistan, 2021. Torres slipped outside, dialing. "Colonel Williams, sir, I'm at Mickey's Burger House about 15 miles east of the base. There's a pilot here being harassed by college students. She's in a wheelchair, sir. The medals are scattered on the floor. Pilot, what's the call sign?" "Phoenix, sir. Captain Madison Parker. Jesus Christ!" "Listen carefully. Do not let anyone leave that restaurant. We are en route." "Sir, how many should I expect?" "All of them, Sergeant. The entire wing." Inside, Tyler had grabbed Madison's wheelchair again and was shaking it like a toy. "Our little Army girl likes to play dress-up. What's next? Going to tell us you flew jets?" Madison's hands gripped the armrests. "Those ribbons represent missions flown in defense of this country. You're disrespecting something you don't understand." What none of them noticed was the change outside. Black SUVs and pickup trucks began filling every space. 35 vehicles surrounded the restaurant. The front door opened and Colonel James Williams walked in, his command team behind him, and behind them more fighter pilots than the small restaurant could hold. They filled the space around Madison's table, forming a human wall. "Captain Parker," he said, "are you injured?" "No, sir, just some spilled soda." He knelt, gathering the medals with reverence. "Ladies and gentlemen, you are in the presence of one of our nation's finest warriors." Captain Madison Parker served 3 combat tours flying F-16 Fighting Falcons over Afghanistan and Iraq. She flew 47 combat missions, more than most pilots see in an entire career. 3 years ago, Captain Parker was leading a combat air patrol over Afghanistan when her aircraft was struck by an enemy surface-to-air missile. She could have ejected safely. Instead, she chose to stay with her damaged aircraft and complete her mission, protecting a convoy of Marines under heavy enemy fire. Captain Parker kept her damaged F-16 in the air for another 20 minutes, providing close air support that saved the lives of 37 Marines. When her aircraft went down, she was behind enemy lines, both legs shattered, still coordinating rescue efforts for other downed pilots. When we reached her position, we found her defending wounded Afghan civilians who had tried to help her, fighting off Taliban fighters with a broken sidearm and sheer determination. She held that position for 6 hours until rescue arrived. He turned to the five. When you mocked her wheelchair and disrespected her service, you weren't just bullying a disabled woman, you were insulting one of America's finest fighter pilots. We didn't know, Tyler said. You didn't know because you didn't care to know, the colonel replied. My name is Colonel Williams, commanding officer of the 56th Fighter Wing. Captain Parker served under my command for 5 years. She is the finest pilot I have ever had the privilege to lead, and she is family to every person in this room. These men and women have flown with her, served with her, and would follow her into the most hostile airspace without hesitation. And when we heard that 5 cowards were disrespecting her in a public restaurant, we decided to pay a visit. Look, we didn't mean anything by it, Tyler stammered. Major Sarah Chen, one of Madison's former squadron mates, stepped forward. You think a veteran's sacrifice is a joke? Madison spoke. Colonel, it's all right. They didn't understand. But Williams shook his head. Ignorance is not an excuse for cruelty. Captain Parker didn't just lose her legs in that crash. She lost her career, her ability to fly the aircraft she loved. She could have taken a medical retirement. Instead, she chose to live quietly, volunteering at the VA hospital, counseling other wounded veterans. But the real question is, why does it take knowledge of my service record for you to treat me with basic human dignity? The question hung in the air. Tyler had no answer because there was no good answer. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize to Captain Parker properly, pay for every meal in this restaurant today, and then leave. And if we don't, then you'll discover why fighter pilots are called the tip of the spear. We don't make threats, we eliminate targets. The threat was delivered so quietly that it was almost conversational, but every person in the restaurant understood its weight. Tyler pulled out his wallet with shaking hands. Captain, ma'am, I'm sorry, we were wrong. His friends followed, muttering apologies. Madison wheeled closer, looking each of them in the eye. This wheelchair isn't a symbol of weakness. It's a symbol of sacrifice. Every veteran you see has given something for your freedom to sit in this restaurant and eat your lunch in peace. The next time you see someone who looks different, remember that you have no idea what battles they fought or what prices they've paid. The 5 gathered their belongings and headed for the door, swagger replaced by shame. At the threshold, Tyler turned back. Captain, thank you for your service, and I'm sorry for what you lost. Madison nodded once. The restaurant erupted in applause. The elderly veteran from the counter approached. Ma'am, I served in Vietnam. 2 tours flying Hueys, but what you did, what you sacrificed, that's the kind of courage they write about in history books. Madison smiled. We all serve in our own way, sir. Your service matters just as much as mine. As the fighter wing departed, the restaurant slowly returned to normal, but everything was different. Madison was no longer just another customer. She was a hero, a warrior, a woman who had given everything for her country and asked for nothing in return. The teenage staff refilled her drink with trembling hands. Ma'am, you're the bravest person I've ever met. Madison smiled. Bravery isn't about not being afraid. It's about doing what's right, even when you are afraid. Sometimes extraordinary people can't hide forever. Sometimes their light is too bright to be dimmed by circumstance or injury. And sometimes the world needs to be reminded that heroes walk among us every day, rolling through life with quiet dignity, carrying the weight of service with grace, and teaching us all what true courage looks like.